Hi guys, this is Jake, Canadian Cutting Edge, coming at you again. I'm talking to Canadians again about something that's on sale at Canadian Tire starting, I think, June 22nd or 23rd, whatever it is. And it's the Gerber Back Country kit. What you get in the Back Country kit is... just want to knock something over. The Gerber Machete Junior. Impressed already? Okay. And you get a serrated paraframe knife. I've already got a review on the Gerber paraframe fine edge. And if you watch that review, you know how much I hate that knife. It's just so hot in the hand. It just starts to hurt after just a little bit of use. And the other thing you get in that kit is the Gerber Gator axe. Combo axe? Gerber combo axe, whatever it is. You get this little axe and the knife inside the sheath. Canadian Tire says their normal price for this is $118.99. It's going to be on sale on Thursday or Friday, whatever it is, for $59.49. So for $60, you're going to get a small hatchet, a knife that's inside, machete, allegedly, and a Gerber paraframe serrated knife. All those things for that price. Is it worth it? Well, I picked up mine about 2 months ago, the same kit. It was on clearance at my Canadian Tire store for the same price, around 50, 55, 56 bucks, whatever it was. So I picked it up because I just didn't think the reviews that I heard about this stuff, I just didn't think the stuff could be quite that bad. So I'm going to check it out today for myself. I'm going to take these things outside and I'm going to use them. First thing I got to tell you though, the Gerber Gator Junior Machete thing, out of the box, it was so dull. It's totally useless. This saw thing already here, without even touching a piece of wood, I know that it's totally useless. They just stamped out those little V's and then they angled them a little bit. But there's absolutely no sharpening at all on the saw. None whatsoever. That saw is a gimmick. It's totally useless. They say this is a carbon steel. You know, it's a nice, thin, light carbon steel. The way a lot of machetes are, nice and light. So I don't have a beef with that. Some machetes are, you know, thick, Western style ones. And the original machetes, you know, South American kind of machetes are usually nice and thin and light. So it's definitely not full tang. It comes down to about here. So those two screws hold it in, and the rest is just sort of a plastic with a TP overmold. And I've sharpened this now with my work sharp, give it a nice convex edge. I can actually cut paper with it now, and we'll take this guy outside and we'll test it as well. So we'll go and test all these things. I have to also tell you that this knife was fairly dull as well. I couldn't cut paper with it, so I've gone and did sharpen this one too. So I put a nice edge on here. And stupid thing about Gerber on all these things is they don't tell you what the steel is at all on any of this stuff. They just say on this hatchet, it's forged steel axe head. Arrgh. What does that mean? Steel is so great variety of products these days. You can have steel that's total absolute garbage and steel that's really good. And if they don't tell you what it is, you have to doubt if it's the really good stuff. The blade on here, they do say it's a carbon steel. And I forget what they say about the blade on here. But I already know that the paraframe knife is garbage, so I won't talk about that again. This sheath, it's okay. Just barely okay. It's, you know, that sort of nylon fabric stuff. When they put their name on it, you know, it's the soft, light, flimsy stuff, you know. And you put your knife in there, and then, you know, you use Velcro to hold it in place. And then you just got a very narrow strap right there. Maybe it's 1 inch wide to put your belt through. And let's get to looking at these things outside, and we'll see what I think of this stuff. We had planned to make this shrub, this bush, this little tree thing a little bit smaller, so let's have at it. So those are really, really small compared to the size of my thumb. Look at that. So it cuts through that easily. I would expect it to. So it deals with that tiny stuff okay. Let's get on to something bigger. Let's see what happens with this thing. That's all really thin, very green stuff that just came up this year. It's not even that thick, and it took a couple whacks. Oh, that one only took one whack. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting to something thicker. Only took two whacks. The first whack went through about 2/3 of it. And maybe that was just a thing about the angle that I had on it. I think I should be able to get through something like this in one whack. Let's get a little closer. There we go. I missed altogether. That's funny. So that's most of the way through in one whack. Let's go nice and close so it focuses. Most of the way through in one whack right there. Again, that's green, wet, but you can tell it's a couple years old. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 or 8 years of growth. So 2 whacks again, got through pretty much all of it. Let's try one that's a little bit thicker. Let's try something that's a whole lot. Let's try to get through one of these and see how long it takes and how hard it is. Not bad. Almost halfway through. Just that tiny little bit on the end that didn't cut through. So that's not bad. Let's see what the edge feels like. The edge is still nice, pristine. Doing that convex grind really helped it out. So there you go. So you can see how thick that is compared to a man's wrist. So it's not bad, but I'll show you the sawing part is just nasty. I'm pushing hard. Let's try 2 hands. And I'm only in that far from my thumb up. It's just bent pieces of steel with no sharp edge whatsoever. And it's just shredding. It's just shredding it to powder. It's not cutting at all. Useless saw. Well, that's enough of this guy. I'm calling this thing merely okay. Not great, not good, not terrible, not bad, just okay. There's a whole lot better out there for the same price. Now let's try the tiny little hatchet. I'm leaving the knife inside. Now this thin piece, it's, a little bit thicker than my index finger. It's more crush, well, not more. it seems to be crushing it almost the same amount as it is cutting it. See right there, you can see it's done a lot of crushing, a little bit of cutting. Yeah, that really thin stuff, no problem. What was that? See that? It just sort of bounced off when there's nothing holding it to stabilize it. Well, let's try this piece a little bit thicker. See, almost none of them are actually sticking in. They just sort of bounce out. And so you can sort of see how it did. The cuts are going a little bit more than halfway through. You know, there you go. That's halfway. That's the center right there. And it's just going barely more than halfway through. It should be going a whole lot farther than that. Mind you, you don't get an awful lot of leverage with this length of a handle. You know, you're holding it back here. So your finger is maybe 2 inches ahead of that point or behind it. Let's try to make some kindling out of this. This is a piece of spruce. It's certainly okay for, you know, preparing some kindling. No problem for that. It doesn't have a good enough edge to make feather sticks, but you'll be able to, you know, get a whole bunch of small pieces that you're going to be able to use, you know, for kindling. So for preparing dry kindling, yeah, this thing's pretty good. No problem with it there. Let's see how the knife works. Maybe we can use this thing to get a feather stick. It's got a hollow grind, drop point, swedge on top. You could use that for some minor self-defense. That'll stab pretty good, I think. The point is very sharp. This part is made in Taiwan. You know, certainly you can use the knife for making feather sticks. It's pretty narrow back here, so pushing with your thumb to help it that way, doing that kind of cutting, that's going to get your thumb sore pretty quick, I think. It's way too small for batoning, you know, especially with that swedge all the way down the tip of it. You know, right down the tip of it, there's that swedge. You know, it's good for cutting up an apple, I'm sure. Yeah, I like the knife. The knife's pretty nice. Still feels very sharp. Passes the nail nick test. So, let's talk about the conclusion. If I was to get this set again, I wouldn't. What I might recommend to buy again would be get the combo axe. If you want a small hatchet little axe thing like this, This is the one thing out of that whole set that I would recommend if you can find a good price. You can buy this separately, just the knife and the hatchet together. It's the only piece in the whole group that I sort of like. It's not great. It's okay. Not fond of the machete. Totally hate the paraframe knife. And this thing has keep dropping it, has a reasonable sheath. Not great, but it's reasonable. And you can carry it on your belt. Not fond of Velcro. You can hang it on something for a system, or you can put it on your belt using that loop there. Not too heavy. The knife with it is a good touch. A lot of knives inside hatchets and axes are crud. This one's okay. So reasonable. So there you go. What do you think of this video? Please click on that thumbs up, share with your friends, give me your comment. What do you think? And I'll be doing a few less videos this summer because I'm off visiting my parents, and my wife's coming with me. Her parents are down in Ontario as well. It's a little over 3,000 kilometers east of here in southwestern Ontario. My mother's very sick, and so we're visiting her. She has a terminal cancer in her bones and other places now as well. So thank you for your support. Anybody who can help out. Not all of her meds are covered by insurance and everything, and so if you can help out with her expenses, that'd be greatly appreciated. There's links in the description below to give by PayPal, or you can just email me and find some other way. So here you go. This is what I recommend. Remember, guys, always cut towards your chum. That's your friend or your buddy or your pal or the guy just next to you, and not your thumb.